Beatrice, her heart still shaken by the encounter in the shop, returned home that evening with the bag of groceries that Bruno had given her. Every step along the sidewalk seemed accompanied by a musical background made of memories and hopes that had never died down. Lulu, her faithful cat, rubbed against her legs, as if to remind her that, despite everything, love and company were always close. Sitting at the table in a small kitchen dimly lit by the sunset, Beatrice lost herself in mulling over memories of the past. The figure of her mother, Susanna, appeared to her like a sweet and distant shadow, filled with the scent of freshly baked bread and laughter of a youth long gone. Her hands, as she caressed the old gold bracelet on her wrist, the medallion of a past full of broken hopes, trembled with emotion. In the days that followed, the meeting with Bruno was not just an isolated episode, but the beginning of an unexpected journey. Every time Beatrice met Bruno, during a quick stop for shopping or for a chat while waiting for the tram, her soul filled with that shy and reassuring light that she had always sought, but never truly found. Bruno, a kind man with a tormented past, seemed to have found in her a reflection of his own silent tears. One afternoon, as the sun set over the neighborhood, Bruno invited Beatrice to have a coffee in a small bar hidden among the side streets. Sitting at the outdoor table, between carefree chatter and sincere laughter, they opened up like old friends who meet again after years apart. Bruno told how, as a young man, he had dreamed of a different life, made of adventures and distant travels, and how fate had led him to confront difficult choices and uncomfortable truths. Beatrice, in turn, spoke of the pain of a loneliness that had taken root inside her, but also of the strength that had allowed her to move forward despite everything. The words flowed naturally, without haste or artifice. In that moment, time seemed to stop, two souls on a journey, marked by events that had somehow managed to intersect to give life to a new perspective of love and family. Bruno, attentive and thoughtful, listened to every detail, every fragment of history that Beatrice shared. And in that context of truth and sweetness, the question about the bracelet she had talked about that day at the shop transformed into a bridge to memories of a past that, although painful, had laid the foundations for a different future. Weeks passed, and the closeness between the two became more and more evident. Bruno was always there at the right moment to lend a hand, to offer a smile or simply to be there, a silent companion in a life that seemed to have found a new meaning. On a cold winter morning, while the city was waking up under a blanket of frost, Beatrice received an unexpected phone call. It was an old family friend, who had learned of her situation. With a trembling voice, he spoke to her of a hidden past, of secrets kept in the folds of a family history that went far beyond the simple bond of blood. That day, sitting in front of a lit fireplace, Beatrice listened attentively to her friend's story, which revealed details she would never have imagined. They spoke of Giovanni, Bruno's brother, a gruff and tormented man, who had secretly loved a woman as beautiful as she was fragile. It was said that Susanna, Beatrice's mother, had been one of the few to understand and accept that impossible love, ultimately choosing to leave a trail of mysteries and regrets. As the words intertwined in a painful melody, Beatrice realized that every meeting, every glance exchanged with Bruno, was part of a destiny that had wanted to cross their paths precisely to fill that void that neither of them had ever been able to fill. The mystery of Beatrice's origins, which had so troubled Bruno, was slowly turning into an epic of revelations. After the DNA test, the result that revealed the bond of grandparenthood had aroused in Bruno a whirlwind of contrasting emotions, the joy of being able to welcome Beatrice as a family, mixed with the sadness of having discovered painful secrets and unresolved regrets. The decision to speak to her openly, to tell her the truth, had not been easy. He feared destroying the sincere affection that was growing between them. But sincerity, as always, was the key to opening doors that had been closed for a long time. One evening, after another day of sharing and small acts of kindness, Bruno took courage and invited her to take a walk along the river. The light breeze carried with it the scent of water and forgotten stories. "Beatrice," he began in a calm and determined voice, "I know that the truth can hurt, but I think it's time to get to know our past thoroughly, so we can build a better future together. The truth is that, you are my granddaughter." The silence that followed was full of tension and emotion. Beatrice, her eyes shining, listened to every word, trying to understand and accept that burden of secrets and revelations. Yet, in that moment, she understood that the exact definition of the bond did not matter. Love, the true and selfless kind, was much more important than any label or title. Even if I am not your daughter, Bruno continued, I would like you to know, in any way, that you are part of my life. And if you want, we can be a family, always. Bruno's words, sincere and full of feeling, fell like a caress on Beatrice's heart. In a barely audible voice, she replied, I don't know if fate has chosen rightly or wrongly to cross our lives, but I know that I no longer feel alone. If for you this can mean a new family, then I accept with all my heart. From that moment on, the life of the two took an unexpected turn. A series of small daily gestures began, the morning spent sharing an improvised breakfast, the evening spent watching old films and exchanging anecdotes of youth, the laughter that filled the kitchen and the walks along unknown paths. Every detail, every moment, contributed to rebuilding that sense of belonging that had always been missing from both of them. Bruno proved to be a skilled storyteller, telling stories of the past, of broken dreams and of hopes that still shone despite everything. Beatrice, with her sweetness and her resilient spirit, learned to look at the future with different eyes, finding in that new family a safe refuge against the intemperances of life. As time passed, the neighborhood itself seemed to awaken to the change. The hasty glances of the inhabitants became less judgmental and more curious, as they noticed how that old couple, now united by a bond that went beyond blood, illuminated every corner with their presence. The store where it all began became a place of meetings and stories, where everyone could find not only basic necessities, but also a story of hope and rebirth. Even Dora Parisi, the cashier, struck by the transformation, began to show a less harsh smile, almost shyly, as if she wanted to say that she too, deep down, needed a little of that human warmth. In this new phase, Beatrice and Bruno organized small initiatives for the neighborhood, community dinners, storytelling evenings, and moments of sharing that strengthened the sense of belonging and solidarity. It was on one of these occasions that Beatrice, with a trembling but determined voice, told her story to a group of neighbors, explaining how even in the most difficult moments, kindness and love were capable of transforming pain into hope. The words flowed genuinely and sincerely, and for the first time Beatrice felt free to fully embrace her story, without fear of other people's judgment. Time passed, and with it, the lives of the two were enriched with small victories and moments of pure happiness. Family closeness became a beacon for many, an example of how even the deepest scars could transform into signs of resilience and beauty. Bruno, despite not being the biological father, became a fixed point for Beatrice, a confidant and, above all, a sincere friend, capable of making her understand that the true bond is measured in gestures and attentions, not in blood formulas. Thus, between a shared laugh and a silence full of meaning, the magic of a new life was accomplished, made of small daily choices and big dreams. Every day was an opportunity to start over, to rewrite history with strokes of light and unexpected colors. The story of Beatrice and Bruno, which began in a simple grocery store, had become the symbol of a rebirth, that of two souls who, despite having gone through storms and difficulties, had been able to find in each other the strength to move forward. And so, as the seasons changed and the neighborhood continued to change, the memory of that first strange day remained as a sweet warning. Even in the darkest moments, a small gesture of kindness can open the door to a future filled with hope, love, and a chosen family, made of authentic bonds that no difficulty can ever break.